Okay, so CIG released 3.21 to live, and along with it came the A1 Bomber Spirit, which a lot of people are excited for, myself included. However, I'm more so excited for the C1, even the E1, and I would love to see an M1 Spirit. Who knows? Maybe that's in the works. If not, it seems like a lost opportunity if it's not. That being said, I will be making my own 3D rendition of the Spirit if it were an M1, but that'll be a later video because that will take some time. So first things first, we can take a look at the Spirit, which is on sale right now. You can pledge it for $175 or $200 if you melt it. And for a limited time, you can upgrade from one ship to that one and still get a war bond. The A1 Spirit, it's got quite a low profile to it, some big beautiful engines on it, and it's very angular. It's got some VTOL ability with it, with these engines right here. You can take these wingtips and rotate them so you have a lot of strafing ability. The amount of strafing ability this thing has is impressive. I love the angular design of this ship, the aerodynamics of it, this little scoop on the wing to give some more downforce. It's very well designed. The ship does come with 2 nose turrets on the front, and later you will see the 2 turrets that pop out on the back, the spine-ish area of the ship. It is a beautiful ship. I love the design. I'm a Drake fanboy, so it's not often that I'm like, yeah, I love this other manufacturer's ship, but I really like what Crusader's doing with these. It is interesting to see that Crusader takes a different design language route for the Spirit and the Ares. There are similarities across all of their ships as far as the interior goes, and only some of their ships as far as the exterior goes. I feel like the Hercules is kind of like an outlier in that regard for the exterior, because even the MSR is much more angular than the Hercules. Beautiful ship though. Flies wonderfully, which we will see shortly. Don't step on the VTOL thing. Apparently. These wings are fragile, I suppose. In the back there, you can see a remote turret, of which the co-pilot can take control over. And it moves along via this track between these 2 tips that are very much reminiscent of the Hercules. Like I said, there are some similarities. This remote turret has 2 size 2 cannons on it. I swapped them out for repeaters because I absolutely hate cannons. So, we've got repeaters on there. As I'm sure you noticed, in the front of the ship, I have distortion repeaters. It's what I happen to have. I didn't feel like going out shopping. I also have laser repeaters, but those are tucked away at the moment. You will see them pop out later. By default, these are cannons, and these weapons are size 3. So this thing comes stock with 4 size 3 guns, and the remote turret has 2 size 2 weapons. This part right here is where the bombs pop out. You also have your fuel spot right here next to the bombs. That seems safe. We will be utilizing that in a challenge I'll be doing on stream. Surviving in the A1 without fueling up at any landing zone, and seeing how far and long I can last using this as a daily driver as a nomad. When this opens, there is a red lined mark around where the ramp comes out. And when you close it, it changes. That same design pops up when it's opened. Now, this ship has a lot more features than most ships have as far as like functions of that nature. which will be coming to all ships at a later time. When you first come onto the ship, you are greeted by an etching that says Crusader with cautionary paint on the ramp. And then you see a blast door at the entrance. Not that it serves much purpose, because once you get boarded, you're kind of boned. As you'll see, you see that there's a power plant, your coolers, your shields, your jump drive, your batteries, all readily available to be yoinked out of your ship. So if anyone boards you, you're SOL for sure. Very accessible, and honestly kind of an unfortunate design of the ship. I find it unlikely the ship will get boarded often. Now when the ramp goes up, you can see that the tip of the ramp articulates to the shape of the rear of the hull. Folds out, ramp slides down. I think this is a nice feature because it kind of keeps it going with the flow of the ship design. Nice and rounded. I love the gamer lights on these Crusader ships. There's just lights everywhere and I love it. They do have purpose. But again, I love the lights in Crusader ships. So, blast door opens up like this, which is cool. It looks really good. I love how the door opens. However, did you notice where the pad went for the button to close the doors? It's down there in the bottom right. You walk through the doors, and it's down there. I think that's a flaw. That is obnoxious to get to. I go to stand over to it, and it's not so bad to push, right? But it just like, can you imagine that in reality using that? You would be crouching and like, all right, let's push the button instead of just having it over here or something. And they could do the same on this side. They could have put it right here next to the door. I just feel like that would be more ergonomic rather than being a little goblin trying to close your door or kicking the panel, whatever you end up having to do. So this is the hallway with the bombs. Now with the other variants, like the E1, this will be like a lounge kind of area. The C1, this will be cargo. There won't be much cargo in this ship. If I recall correctly, the C1 is only going to be able to carry 48 SCU, which is interesting because that is 4 more SCU than what the Cutty Black can hold. I bring up the Cutlass Black because it's supposed to be the competitor to the Spirit line. Even though the Cutlass Black has equal amount of guns, but they're size 2s, gimbaled. You can make them fixed size 3s, but without the ship flies, I don't think that's a good idea. It's a little weaker as far as firepower goes, and you shoot off a wing, you shoot off an engine on that ship, you lose all control. This ship can still manage to fly when it's damaged like that. The A1 Spirit comes with 46,000 HP. That is 10,000 more than what the Cutty Black comes with. That being said, the C1 will likely have a lesser amount of hull HP, considering looking at how the variants are with the Cutlass. But then again, maybe it'll have even more, because the Cutlass Black is a multi-purpose ship, whereas Cutty Blue and Cutty Red, Cutty Steel all have their own purposes. And more guns you put on a ship, the less hull HP it has, as proven by the Cutty Steel. The A1 comes with a size 2 shield. So does the Cutty Black. So they're very comparable as far as systems and whatnot. It's pretty much cut and paste as far as what systems can go into this thing. Shield type for the A1 is quadrant. The shield type for the Cutty Black is front and back. A1's got a bit of an advantage on that. C1 will likely be similar. If not, then it'll probably be front and back. but I could see it being quadrant. I've rambled on quite a bit. Let's move on to the rest of the ship and its features. So, before we move forward, we got our nice ambiance in the back here with the lights, but it gets better. This terminal does not function. However, this little panel at the top right, you can change the color of the lights. Now these are yellow, and the hull gets dimmed. It's one more option, and it's a cautionary type. The red light starts flashing. These are kind of flickering a bit, and these are having a breathing feature now, which is obviously what's going to happen when you've got your bombs armed, basically to warn the rest of the crew being one other person. There is enough room. You can slide like a dragonfly into here, and in the back you can squeeze in a STV. I don't know that you'd be able to fit much more back here. With this blast door being open, you can definitely fit a Fury in here. Not trying to give any ideas, but then this could be like a 3-person cruise ship. You go to bomb something, you open up the back, let the snub fighter out, carpet bomb the area. Carpet bombing won't really be functional with this thing, but we'll get into that later. It'll be a lot of fun for ground type missions like Jump Town, if anyone was doing those right now. Because even when they do up Jump Town, because no one wants to do those anymore, because they have the option of just doing 30k risky salvage missions and making a lot more money with a lot less risk. Moving on to the rest of the ship. This is where we start to see familiar things, like the Crusader door. Then in this room, you've got more systems that aren't implemented into the game yet. You've got your gravity generator, your life support, avionics, and radar. So these are taken up. However, these aren't. And these are a nice convenient size of a small box that you can carry around, so you could put loot in these areas. Moving on to the next section, to the left, we've got 2 suit pod areas, which hopefully will actually become functional sometime in the near future. And more importantly, it's not a proper ship. It's not a proper ship without gun racks. You can put up to 2 size 2 guns, so light machine guns like the FS9 and a railgun will not fit in these gun racks. And you can put some pistols in there. So 3 pistols and 2 size 2 guns. And then behind us, in this room, we have the bathroom. Quite small, functional, and of course we have a toilet that pops out. You can close the door behind you, and even this room has warning lights, so if you drop a bomb in the bathroom in your bomber, you can warn the rest of the crew. Lights are now off, and then you can turn them on. And then right next to it, we have a little kitchenette with an espresso machine, it looks like. Little stovetop, and there it goes. A little fridge, so you can put food in there, drinks, whatever. The pods here above your beds are external storage, so we have lockers. You can load these things up with quite a bit of stuff, mostly just guns and utilities, but it's still a substantial amount. 1 for each bed. And then the bed itself, you got a snazzy little TV for yourself. Hopefully we can actually use those in the future. And then when you're in the bed, there is a light above the bed. The bed also has light functionality. You can dim the lights. And there's also warning lights in the bed, so maybe if something happens to the ship, you can warn the rest of the crew and wake them up with that. Or maybe you're just one of those people that like sleeping to a red light. An hour to the front of the ship. Still keeping to the angular design, with a little bit of the circle in there. It's a nice contrast coming from a 3D artist perspective. You get into the pilot seat. And a lot of the buttons up here have functionality. You can do flight ready, self-destruct, weapons on off, shields. You can open the exterior. Which is always nice. Close it from here. Split quantum. And the MDF, whatever it's called, the screens, they're kind of at an angle, which is fine. It works. It's functional. It gets a little weird in flight. The hologram display over here has a bright blue light hovering above it, which is kind of annoying and distracting. I don't know if that's intentional or a bug, but I don't like it. When we turned on the ship, those other two size 3 guns pop out. Not sure what that sound was, but I'll just assume it's like an igniter on a grill. The engines were struggling. Let's look at the co-pilot seat. Some of the buttons and switches have functionality, like you'll have to deploy the turret from here. So you click deploy, and the turret slides on back to the rear of the ship, giving you some cover from behind. And when you are in the remote turret, you have pretty good range. You have, like a quadrant of a sphere to look around. A little bit below, and what's directly beside or behind you. The UI for remote turrets is nice, giving you more indication of where your limits are. Personally, I think they did well with the layout of the ship, or the A1 itself, but it does bring to question, how is the layout going to function in the other variants, like the C1 and the E1, and hopefully in the near future, an M1. Let's take a look at the landing gear. When you retract, it folds right into the ship, keeping it nice and aerodynamic. Our first stop being Brios, because the reality is, this is likely going to be the location you'll see a lot of A1s paying a visit to. Sorry, cargo haulers that are doing those 30k risky missions. You may get a couple of visits from A1s, which is probably why it's been so vacant since 321 went live. The ship has decent rotation. It's got good side strafe. That's very well demonstrated up here. Now, the safe travel velocity where it maintains maneuverability is fairly slow. However, if you need to get out of a sticky situation, boost it. It goes fairly fast. In atmo, you're going to be struggling to hit those top speeds, but in space, you're going to be hitting probably around 1100, I believe. So, let's try out what everybody wants this ship for, the bombs. If you want to hit your target, you need that red reticle to show up, and it's quite fickle and annoying, to be perfectly honest. So let's go ahead and drop a bomb at Brios. When I pull out the bomb, or even low fly in this thing, my frames do take quite a bit of a dip. So there will probably be a hot fix for that in the near future, but let's hit Brios with a bomb and get out of there. I missed. The problem with the A1 is the dropping of the bomb. Something I forgot to mention is the amount of visibility you have in the cockpit. It is quite impressive, but due to the angular design of the glass, as you can see there, it does cause a bit of distortion in your visibility, which is to be expected. So let's try this again. Coming in slow. We want our bomb to drop there. Now the reticle stays when you let off the throttle, but it gets weird when you hit the throttle again. Let's put it in decoupled. It does have a bit of a slow rotation going that way, but if you tilted and used your thrusters properly, it wouldn't be so bad. You could also use VTOL, and it'll help. So let's get a good speed going, load our way in, drop the bomb, direct hit. So if you let off the throttle, it gets a little less fickle, which is nice. The downside, which is to be expected, is that the bombs aren't cheap. It costs 45,000 AUEC in order to replenish your bombs, which isn't too bad, but it's definitely not cheap. So the ship has quite a bit of maneuverability. It flies pretty well. Like, you can even low fly this thing if you really wanted to. No red reticle. And that's the other problem. Sometimes it doesn't show up. I don't know if it's because I'm going too fast or what. We'll try to keep it at the proper velocity and see what happens. So I feel like it's pretty easy to land your shots, right? I mean, if the problem that I see is, though, you can load up 5 bombs. Let's get those charged up. And that would give the impression that you can carpet bomb an area. However, that's not the case. Because if you want it in a congested area, you're going to have to go a very limiting speed. And in order to get the red reticle to show up, you have to be fairly low. You can kind of see it flickering there. So let's see what happens when I try to just carpet bomb. There goes one. Didn't go off. There goes another. There goes another. They're very spaced out. And if you're too close, show with this one, it messes with your flight path. I'll show you what happens when you just keep the proper suggested speed. And I'll drop the bomb. There it goes. I blew up. That's what happened. Shit. Don't be that close to the ground. That's a good opportunity to show the claim time on it. And the claim timer for the A1 Spirit is 6 minutes and 45 seconds. I don't know about you. I think that's kind of low. I expected this thing to be like 15, 20 minutes. Not 7. given that it's a bomber. But I won't complain. With it being expedited, it's 2 minutes. It's a pretty quick claim. That's insane. The A1 isn't going to be a carpet bomber like some of us were hoping for, but it is going to be a more than one and done bomber, which will be nice. We will have 10 size 5 bombs at our disposal to bombard an area with. It's going to be a pretty strong contender for Jumptown. It's basically a Jumptown ship. Let's hope CIG fixes the 30k risky salvage missions before Jumptown happens again, because otherwise no one's going to be there. Last time they had Jumptown up, I went to 5 different servers and didn't find a single person. So with all that being said, I think the Spirit line of ships are great. I think they're going to be a very beloved series of ships. There's already people saying they're going to have the A1 be a daily driver. The ship flies extremely well, even when it's missing its wings, to a point. I mean, it flies better than a Cuddy, which is its competitor, so take that for what you will. I like the ship. I think it's worth it. If you guys want to try out the ship and you don't know anybody, catch me while I'm live. I'd be more than happy to let people take it for a spin. As for how it does in PvP, I don't know yet. I haven't done any, or even PvE. I haven't done any bounty hunting or bunker missions with it yet, but I will be today and through the weekend. That's what I'll be streaming. And I'll also be watching the CitizenCon live thing, so if you want to pop in the stream, see how the A1 is before you buy one, or just want to see how it is for the future when it comes into the game fully, there's your opportunity to do so. So that's the A1 Spirit. What do you guys think of the ship? Are you excited for it? Do you even care about it? This is more of just a first impressions of the A1. It's not bad. It definitely has a few quirks where they need to fix it, but what ship doesn't when it comes out? As far as balance goes, I think it's fine. I think the balance is spot on. They don't have to worry about doing anything much. They just got to fix a few of the quirky bugs, like the red reticle being kind of fickle, and I think we're on our way to a pretty solid ship. Like I mentioned earlier, I am going to be doing a sort of challenge this Friday, so the day that this goes up, all the way through to Sunday and probably into next week, depending on how long I survive. I'm going to do what I call, well, the name's in the works, okay? It's just naked and afraid off-grid living. I don't know. Something along those lines. But the concept is I start naked, don't have any gear in the ship. I live out of the ship. Don't go to any landing zones. Don't go to any ports. Don't go to any mining facilities. Anywhere that gives me fuel and re-upping my ammo. The problem with this, my bombs are finite. So I'll have to be very particular about when I choose those, because I only got 10. The only way I can get gear is obviously through a bunker. Food, I have to find out in the wild. Water, same thing. I can only get refueled by another player. And we'll see how long I can survive. That'll probably be happening throughout the entire weekend, starting the day of upload of this video. I'll also be watching CitizenCon live, so if you want to pop in the stream, check out the A1 and see how things are with CitizenCon through the perspective of me, for whatever reason, a floating head. You have that option. Link to my stream is down below, as well as my Discord if you want to play with me in Star Citizen, or if you just want to check out streams, be sure to join up in the Discord. And that's it. Appreciate you guys watching. I'll catch you next time. Have a good rest of your day, night, morning, whatever happens to be for you.